On today's show,
we preview and predict the second round series between the Raptors Cavs and the Rockets Spurs.
Will Good Jimmy show up in Chicago? Can Washington win their first game on the road? Will CP be superb?
And we'll count down the top 10 plays from the past 7 days.
It's Friday, April 28th. The starter starts now.
Good evening, sweet world, and welcome to The Starters, presented by Jack Daniel's Tennessee Honey. Whether you're joining us live right now on NBA TV or a little bit later on YouTube, we're very, very happy to have you. I'm Jay Skeets, and alongside me, as always, that's Tess Mellis.
Happy Friday, friends.
To his right, the international man of mystery, taking it to the max, Lee Ellis.
Friend.
Lele.
And last, certainly not least, I believe the first man to ever wear a kimono with a cape, Trey Kirby. Hey, yo! Wow, what a look.
You know, Lee told me he was gonna bring me his son's cape to wear today, so I had to do it. And honestly, I'm feeling like a middle school art teacher. My clothes are slow, flowy. Maybe it's the new look, I don't know. Let us know on Twitter, #TheStarters. Speaking of #TheStarters, I'm here at the internet looking for your best tweets at #TheStarters. And guys, the Raptors-Bucks series ended last night, but not before there was a few internet zings to send it off, and it started on the Bucks Snapchat when Bango got the jokes going with a sign that said, "Did you hear the Toronto Raptors basketball team doesn't have a website?" Followed by another sign that says, "They can't get 3 W's together." Oh, got him! But the Raptors bided their time waiting until the perfect moment to strike. And last night that moment came, putting together this video tweeted directly to Bango of them purchasing the domain name rapsin6.com.
Yeah!
And finishing it off with a raptor drinking some tea a la Kermit. What a website zing. It brings us to today's question. What other websites should NBA teams buy? For instance, I think the Boston Celtics could pick up stillgotthatnetspick.com just to let their fans know. And of course, the Pistons could go for buildawall.com, but I would worry that might redirect to the White House website. And of course, the San Antonio Spurs could buy www.wearehumans-and-definitely-not-robots.org, but don't trust them. That's something a robot would do. But we want to hear from you, so let us know on Twitter. What other websites should NBA teams buy? Send us your best tweets to #TheStarters. We'll hear from you later, and I'll still be wearing a cape.
All right, get those tweets in. We got a fun show tonight. We got the top 10 plays of the weekend. We'll look ahead to tonight's 3 Game 6s and debate whether or not any of those series go to Game 7. But we start by looking to the second round. We've got some series because for the first time in franchise history, the Raptors won a series in fewer than maximum games necessary.
3 W's in a row, Bango.
But it was a little ugly. Raps blew a 25-point lead, but they made a couple big plays down the stretch. They beat the Bucks 92-89. So the 6 takes the series in 6 and now moves on to face the Cleveland Cavaliers. It is a rematch from last year's playoffs. Not the conference finals, of course. We're only in the semis here. But game 1 of this series will tip Monday night in Cleveland on TNT. Trey and his cape have joined us at the desk.
Flew right over.
To make our predictions. And we're all going with the Cavs. Trey and Lee say Cavs in 6. Tass and I, the Raptors fans, holding on to a little bit of hope, hoping for a Game 7, but ultimately think the Cavs get it done. Yeah, we're traders. Yeah. Okay. So I guess we all agree that it's going to be another competitive series. I mean, maybe it wasn't a competitive series last year, even though it went 6.
It was lopsided.
The Cavs killed them. So we think it's going to be a little closer this year. Is that the idea?
I think so. I think you got a better Raptors team. They actually moved the ball this year. I found it hard to believe watching them against Milwaukee Bucks. I thought it would end after 1 game. It didn't. I thought it'd end after 2 games. It didn't. We had 3 games in a row where they moved the ball around really, really well.
That's a trend.
Yes, this is a trend. And this is the best run of games in playoff history for the Toronto Raptors. The first time, as you mentioned, Skeets, that they ended a series before the maximum amount of games because they passed around. You see that an 8% jump in the number of baskets assisted. That's significant. They're now sort of middle of the pack. Before they were a hero ball. And that's it. But now against a Cavs team that is lacking a little bit in the defensive end. They're not playing all that well. You know, that was a close series against the Pacers. Pacers could have easily got a couple games. It was a plus 15 for those total 4 games. I think they are just a tiny bit vulnerable. That's why I got it in 7. It's kind of hard to go 7, but I guess it could happen.
I have a hard time taking a lot out of that Pacers series because to me it seemed like the Cavs didn't have to play hard all the time. They didn't have to be great on offense or defense to win. So it's kind of hard to see how that series applies to this one, especially because, like you're saying, the Raptors are definitely a step up in competition, but even they weren't super impressive in their first round series. That being said, they've been building towards playing against LeBron in this series, not just since the conference finals, for a few years. They brought in DeMarre Carroll. They brought in Serge Ibaka, PJ Tucker, just multiple guys that they can throw at LeBron. Just different bodies, different shapes of people who can maybe make it a little bit tough on LeBron.
Whole lot of
maybe,
fouls.
Yeah, a lot of fouls, a lot of different looks. Maybe you can try to confuse him. That doesn't really happen to LeBron, but maybe one possession it will. Maybe that adds up.
Whatever Dwayne Casey does, he has to find a way to make sure that those other guys like J.R. Smith and Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving, that they don't also get going. Because last year in that series, when LeBron was running at full speed and they would just spread out to the perimeter and he would fire it out to anyone and they'd knock down threes, Raptors just couldn't keep up with that. But they're going back to that series against the Pacers scored over 100 points in every game. So it does show that you can score against the Cavs. The Raptors just have to make sure that if they are going to score, they can defend as well. And maybe that means, okay, stay on your guy on the shooter and let LeBron, who's on him, one-on-one for a lot of it, and just keep rotating bodies around so there's always a fresh look. Nothing has proved to stop LeBron in the past, but maybe that's a way that he just then has to do more of the workload himself. Maybe that's the way to do it.
The Raptors' only chance of winning this series is, and I hope this doesn't happen, even I am a Raptors fan, if this LeBron gets hurt. That's the only chance they have to win the series, I think. But it's going to be way more competitive than it was all those Cavs blowouts in last year's conference finals. That I truly believe. It's just going to be closer. And we can't put anything in, by the way, to the regular season matchup. Cavs took the regular season series 3-1. They played 3 times in like the first 6 weeks of the regular season. Obviously no PJ Tucker there, no Ibaka there. And then the last game was the 82nd game of the season. Love sat, Kyrie sat, and LeBron sat. So it'll be fun to see these 2 newish squads going at it again.
You're right about the fact that LeBron got into the lane and found everybody, but that's because the backup behind that first line of the defense was Jonas Valanciunas or Bismack Biyombo, and everybody had to collapse because those guys couldn't defend LeBron one-on-one. Serge Ibaka is the guy who technically can do that, to make him think at least at the rim and just to be able to stay with him one-on-one, and those other 4 guys stay out there with those 4 guys on the perimeter. They're still going to hit shots. It's still LeBron. Let's go 7 for some fun.
Let's hope so. All right, let's move over to the West Series that'll get underway on Monday night, and that is because the Spurs finished off the Grizzlies with the hard-earned 103-97 victory in Game 6. It was the first win by a visiting team in that series, but the Spurs, they clinch a second-round spot for the 18th time in 23 years. Wow. And they're battling the Rockets, who, incredibly, they've barely ever seen in the playoffs. Last time these guys played in the playoffs was the famous David Robinson-Akeem Olajuwon matchup, which is so
22 years.
Weird. Yeah. Again, Game 1, Monday night on TNT. It'll be the second game of the doubleheader that night. Here are our predictions. I love it. The table is split on this one. Lee and I say Rockets in 6. Trey and Tass are going with the Spurs. Trey thinks maybe in 7. Tass says Spurs in 6. Why don't you guys start? Why do you guys got the Spurs taking this series?
The Spurs offense was way better than the Rockets the last couple weeks. It's like 7 points better, and that's a lot. The Rockets just didn't look all that great against the Thunder closing out games. They sort of look like the regular season Rockets to me, where they were good against bad teams, but they were only 20-20 against 500 teams or better. They just couldn't close them out. If it's going to come down to a few possessions, the last few minutes, I think the Spurs are just better. And if they're not going to outscore the Spurs, they're not going to out-defend them. I like the Spurs.
I do think that this is going to be a tough series for James Harden, just because the Spurs have a couple of different options for guarding him. They're going to be able to throw Kawhi Leonard on him, which is incredible to be able to throw maybe the best defender in the league against one of the best offensive players. They also have Danny Green, incredible, really good in transition, which is a big part of the Rockets' attack, and they don't foul. James Harden wasn't great shooting threes in the first round of the playoffs, but he did get to the line a ton of times. The Spurs just don't foul. They have been not fouling for 20 years since Greg Popovich has been there. So
since David Robinson played Akeem Olajuwon.
Yeah, exactly. So at the very least, they should be able to limit Harden's free throw attempts. Nobody can really keep him down. He'll probably still get 10 a game, but that's better than getting 14 or 15.
14 or 15.
Why do you like the Rockets, Lee?
Yeah, it certainly feels weird picking against San Antonio Spurs in the playoffs when it's an offense versus a defense team, and defense tends to win out. But I just like the way this Rockets offense is set up. And even though I expect Danny Green and Kawhi to spend most of their time on James Harden. He can either penetrate and get inside and try to kick it out to his own shooters, and guys like Ariza and Ryan Anderson have to hit shots. They didn't do that in the first round, but they are more than capable. Eric Gordon, Lou Williams coming off the bench. But also James Harden, he's a brilliant offensive player. Even if guys are draped on him, he'll still find a way to get his baskets.
Harden did not have a good series against the Thunder.
No, but
and
he
that's a
didn't
lot of
need
credit
to.
to Robertson.
Yeah.
I know, that's absolutely right.
That I think.
But will he do that again for a second series? I would bank on him sort of bouncing back a little bit,
Yeah.
despite great defenders in the Spurs, despite a great defense.
And we also saw as well, remember Matt Moore had that article earlier this year on Kawhi Leonard. One way to perhaps weaken the Spurs defense is take Kawhi
Isolate
Leonard
him.
out of the play, even if that means James Harden. You've got other guys who can handle the rock.
We will
Still
see.
finish top 5
Yeah, I
defensively.
know.
They're still a great
Hey.
defense, no matter how much you isolate
I'm
them.
trying to talk myself into the
Hey,
Rockets in 6, all right?
It should be a very
Harden's
fun
not going to the
series.
free throw line once.
Should be a very fun series. We're going to take a break here, but when we come back, we're going to count down the top 10 plays from the past 7 days of fantastic playoff action. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the starters, where it's time to count down the top 10 plays from the past 7 days. And we start at number 10. That just makes sense. Gordon Hayward matched up one-on-one against DeAndre Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
Blows by him. DeAndre was pointing at the ears. Hey, is there a pick coming? No, he's just going right by you with the two-handed slam in traffic and one.
And chin up afterwards.
Yeah, that's right. No tech for that.
At number 9, everybody loves a LeBron chase down block. Woo, swipes left on that one. Nice catch. Usually goes off the glass. Not gonna swipe left on that attempt.
Yeah, I like the changeup.
Yeah.
Well, something different.
He's going for a shower.
Number 8, you gotta follow your own shots. Gerald Green proving why. Picks up the rebound, dunks it.
Hops forever. Forever and ever.
I'm so
Will he
true.
be able to dunk when he's 60?
Easily.
Easily.
Oh, what a that's at number 8. Uh-oh.
At number 7, the Raptors portion of the top 10. 2 DeRozan plays from the series clinching game. He loses Malcolm Brogdon.
Oh,
wow.
Wasn't expecting that.
Yes.
The Smitty!
Seen it so many
yeah.
times. It's still so pretty. And under a minute left here. Toronto hanging on to the lead.
Hanging up for dear
What are we
life.
going to do? We're going to throw one
yeah.
down.
Dagger dunk
Yeah.
from DeRozan.
Everybody coming at him. DeMar DeRozan, I saw on the internet. I like that. DeMar DeClosen, I like that.
Deflection, too.
Let's stick with the Raptors in this series against the Bucks. Norm! We the Norm. Norman Powell going baseline. And catching a couple Bucks by surprise. That's a lot of length he's dunking over there. He wasn't done. We got another Norm dunk. Norm!
Oh, that's, yeah,
The exclamation dunk.
nice.
Like Brent Barry says, Powell to the people.
Sean Powell to the people. At number 5, Eric Gordon. This huge jam. You don't
yeah.
see Eric Gordon do that.
No, that's Aaron Gordon.
Oh, Aaron
Yeah, that's not Aaron. What? That's Aaron Gordon?
gets up.
Wow, I'm
little
shocked he was
sneaky.
inside the three-point
Phantom
line.
cam, excuse me for Aaron Gordon. At number 4, a missed free throw in the top 10 plays. Yes, Steven Adams purposely misses the free throw, kicks back out to Westbrook, gets the 3. Thunder would win the series, but this is quite the play to make this a very interesting game. They wouldn't foul for some weird reason, but
Even Lee likes this missed free throw.
That was
Exactly,
incredible.
yeah.
At number 3, Grizzlies, Andrew Harrison in OT. Oh, the chase down block with 1:30 left in overtime.
yeah, that was like
Perfect timing, that.
game-saving block.
Yeah.
Yes.
Huge. I watched this so many times. I was
Yeah.
like, did he goaltend it? But he
No, he
just
didn't.
timed it
No.
perfectly. Same game, maybe the best game from the first round of the playoffs. Marc Gasol with the game winner in overtime. Less than a second remaining on the clock, just gets it up there.
Soft.
Yep. Just stumbling, bumbling over there. Drops it. That was a fun game 4. Grizzlies put up one heck of a fight.
But at number 1, 2 John Wall hammers with the left hand. Boom. Not one, but 2. The first is, it's hard.
Watch your face, Mike.
I don't remember seeing him dunk with his
Sorry,
right
Mike.
hand. He's
Yeah.
always dunks with his left.
Another one with the left here. This one's pretty because it's so fast. Behind the back. Through 5, look at those, 5 Hawks just having a look-see.
Correct me if I'm wrong, that was off a made basket by the Hawks.
I think you're right.
I think it
Can't
was.
correct you. I can't correct you.
I think
think
it
you're
was. I think that's how fast he is, guys. All right, after the jump, we'll look ahead to tonight's 3 Game 6s. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the starters.
The Starters on NBA TV is brought to you by Jack Daniel's Tennessee Honey, proud partner of the NBA. Do your friends proud. Please drink responsibly.
Back with the starters. 3 Game 6s on tonight. Got a fun night of basketball here. Wizards Hawks get started in about a little over an hour here on NBA TV. Wizards leading that one 3-2. And then the Celtics and the Clippers, part of your ESPN doubleheader, going against the Bulls and the Jazz. So, look, all 3 of these series really, in theory, could end tonight. So let's discuss with the look ahead how these teams can maybe survive, the teams that are trailing 3-2. Trey.
The home team has won every game of Wizards Hawks, and Game 6 is tonight in Atlanta. So, guys, what's the key to a Hawks victory?
I think it's the Hawks got to hit the money ball. They got to hit the three-point shot. Because if you look at their 3 losses in Washington, they shot under 30% from 3 in all 3 of those games. Back here in the Fortress, in Game 3 and 4, they shot better. They were 9 of 25 in Game 3 from distance, and obviously 12 of 31 then in Game 4. So they need Tim Hardaway, they need Prince, they need Schroeder, who's been lights out actually from 3 for him. They need all these guys, Bazemore. They got to chip in. Jose Calderon, even if he gets more minutes like he did in Game 4 and he was instrumental in that win, they need some of those, the three-point shot to fall for them. And because I know we've talked a lot about the bigs, the battle of the bigs, and that's something to watch as well. For whatever reasons, the Wizards' bigs play well in Washington, can't play well down here in Atlanta, and vice versa. So 3-ball and that battle inside, we'll see.
I think we're going to get a big John Wall game. He's had an incredible series, 27 and 11 assists per game. But I think Game 5 was his quietest game. And a lot of people, you mentioned Dennis Schroeder, are talking about Dennis Schroeder outplaying John Wall, which I don't think is true. They're just sort of surprised at how good Dennis Schroeder has been. I think John Wall, after a quiet game, it's time to go at Schroeder. He's had the rivalry going throughout this series with him. There's been plenty of stare downs, and I think we're going to get a good John Wall performance. I think they win in Atlanta
Just
tonight.
Very quickly, do you like the Wizards or Hawks tonight?
I like the Wizards if they show up from the start. They've been pretty complacent in the early part of the games 3 and 4 down here at the start. So I think they show up early. I think the Wizards take it.
We will see. All right, Trey, next one.
With Rajon Rondo out of the lineup, the deck is stacked against Chicago. Guys, what's the key to a Bulls victory, and can it actually happen? Please say yes.
Are we going to get a good Jimmy? It's all about a good Jimmy game. Jimmy Butler is who I'm talking about. I just like saying Jimmy on its own.
Fun.
It's Jimmy. Jimmy had his fewest amount of shots in Game 5. 12 shots. Doesn't make sense with Rajon Rondo out. Him being sort of the pseudo point guard alongside Isaiah Cannon and Dwayne Wade. He really has to perform. Rondo can't be there to create for other guys, so Butler has to take plenty of shots, and that 12 shots is just too few of shots to go out. You're not going to go out this way if you're Jimmy Butler. You're going to go out shooting.
You think so?
And I think Jimmy's going to shoot a lot tonight.
You wonder how much his knee might be affecting him, because Game 4 he got to the line something like 23 times. In Game 5, once, that's right. And there's some knee soreness. He says he's going to play. Obviously, he has to try and elongate their season. But maybe it's a little more serious than we initially thought.
Yeah. Sorry though, Trey. I think the Celtics wrap it up tonight. I think they've just figured things out.
Unfortunately, I agree.
Yeah, they got off to a pretty tough start, obviously, with the Isaiah Thomas news. They just didn't play well in the first 2 games. Rondo going out obviously didn't help the Bulls, but I think the Celtics now know that they can basically just outrun Chicago. And Dwayne Wade and Jimmy Butler, if Jimmy isn't 100%, that obviously affects him. And Dwayne has been great, but I'm not sure he's got the same stamina that he had when he was young Dwayne Wade to be able to sort of perform for 48 minutes.
All right, sorry, Trey. Sorry to hear that, buddy. Final one.
I appreciate the concern. Losing Game 6 tonight might mean the end of the most successful Clippers era we've seen. Guys, what's the key to an LA victory?
It's probably going to come down to Chris Paul. He's going to have to do everything, almost be involved in every single possession. He's the best player. He can score, he can distribute, he's the best defender. And really, they can't rely on anyone else to go out and get them baskets. He has to get those other guys baskets, whether it's Redick, whether it's Crawford, whether they're throwing lobs to DeAndre Jordan. And unfortunately, this is what the Clippers season is now resting on it. He's capable of doing it, but I just think the Jazz, at home, a better all-round team right now, especially with Blake Griffin out for the Clippers. I think it's going to be very, very tough to see the Clippers actually pull this out.
The Clippers have 2 playmakers, and one of them is injured. Blake Griffin is out. Chris Paul has to make every single play himself, unless Jamal Crawford just gets super hot and just is a Jamal-type game where he's just flinging them in from all over the place. So it's got to be another superstar Chris Paul performance.
I agree with that. Chris Paul, I mean, he won him 1 game already in this series and was instrumental in that other one where he took over down the stretch. So can he do it again and give us a Game 7? We'll see. All right, we got to take one more break, but when we come back, Lily hits us with the very solid play. You're watching The Starters, presented by Jack Daniel's Tennessee Honey. According to reports, Larry Bird is stepping down as president of the Indiana Pacers. GM Kevin Pritchard will take over the team. Now, the Pacers finished first in the East the year Larry Bird rejoined the team in 2013. They lost to the Heat in the conference finals, but since then, the Pacers haven't won a playoff series. So Larry Bird might stay as a consultant, by the way. That's what we're hearing, but we'll see. All right, we asked you, what other websites should NBA teams buy? Hit us up on Twitter, #TheStarters. Trey.
Yeah, some good answers. Braun Heb says the Knicks should buy trianglepegroundbasket.com. I like it. Swiss says Memphis should buy takethatfordata.com. Would be shocked if they don't actually have it at this point. And Mr. Basketball simply says toasterdubs.com. Still one of the best pictures of the year, for sure. Toaster dubs.
Never seen a toaster. Clay Thompson. All right, Lee, VSP, who gets the honor?
Well, the Raptors, not just a very solid play, but a timely, very solid play last night. Look at this one. The ball zip, zap, zobs around until Patrick Patterson finishes with a dunk, but he had to dunk it given the circumstances of the game.
After blowing a 25-point lead, you got to make sure it's going in.
It's a little pump fake party. Nice little pass back from Kojo. That's what I call a very solid play.
Very, very solid. What's also solid is when it gets to postseason time and you get a wedgie.
Baby!
Second playoff
Big
wedgie.
time.
Fantastic stuff.
Same game.
On a dunk attempt by Norman Powell.
Norm!
Just caresses it in there, though, doesn't he?
Nice.
He meant to.
Yeah.
He absolutely meant to.
He
Number
understands.
48 on the season, an all-time record for wedges
Wow.
in an NBA season.
All right. Let's get two more, though.
More.
Trying to get to 50 here, folks. Trying to get to 50. Now it's time for the fan of the night. Fan of the night is WWE legend Jerry the King Lawler. Huh? Well, in Memphis last night, they do this little thing where WCW star, former star Buff Bagwell, gets into it with Jerry Lawler. He talks some junk about Memphis, Buff did, and that's when Jerry went to work. He got the mascot to jump on Buff's friend.
The table didn't really break.
Wow, everything coming up, Jerry.
He's the king.
Fantastic. All right, we had a blast with the Drop podcast this morning. We talked a whole lot more in detail about the Cavs Raptors series as well as the Spurs Rockets series. So if you want to hear that, go check that out. And I asked the guys something that hasn't happened in a long time.
I haven't fallen in a long time. I just haven't really bit one.
Don't get a big head about it. I used to be like you, bragging to everybody. I never fell down the stairs, then I fell down the stairs twice in a month. It's coming for you, Final Destination style.
Hope that streak continues.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're gonna fall walking out here. Watch it. All right, guys. Again, just to remind you guys, 3 games on tonight. Wizards and Hawks. I just scored a ticket, by the way. I'm heading down to the Fortress right after this. Celtics, Bulls, Clippers, Jazz on ESPN. We'll be back on Monday to talk about some new series or some Game 7s. We'll find out.
All right. Enjoy the games this weekend, folks. And remember, the Raptors are taking the Cavs to 7 games. Yeah, that's a victory. Woo!
Race the weekend, people.